Have you ever seen those people who just seem to float through a room, maintaining conversation, keeping people engaged, but not through a loud arrogance, a little bit more of a quiet confidence? In today's video, I'm going to go over 7 subtle, polite habits of people of high value. That way, at your next event, you can implement these 7 habits and feel like you belong in the room and that you've earned your seat at the table. Now, habit number 1 that I see people with high value implement is they use people's names correctly. For example, if somebody introduces themselves to you as Alexander McQueen, don't take it upon yourself to shorten their name, trying to find some commonality and call them Alex. Don't do that unless they give you permission. So if they introduce themselves to you as Alexander McQueen, the most appropriate response is, "Nice to meet you, Mr. McQueen. My name is Rafael." You let them tell you if they want to go by Alex, Alexander, or Mr. McQueen. You let them take that lead. It just shows a sign of respect. Now, at the same token, don't let people shorten your name. What you're doing here is you're setting respectful boundaries. Now, this is a tough one for my culture. It is very common in the Hispanic community for people to shorten your name as a sign of endearment or affection, but you still want to correct them politely. It is very common when I introduce myself to a patient or a doctor and I say, "Hello, my name is Rafael," they very quickly say, "Rafa, Rafita." It's their way of trying to find some commonality with me. But I very quickly and politely tell them, "Oh, I go by Rafael." 9 times out of 10, they're very quick to apologize and start calling me Rafael throughout the rest of the conversation. Now again, what you're doing here is you're establishing some respectful boundaries. Now, habit number 2 that I see high people of high value implement is they maintain eye contact during a conversation. Now, I don't mean gazing into someone's eyes like some crazy serial killer. I mean maintaining the eye contact as you speak. You're going to soften your facial muscles. You're going to tilt your head. You're going to nod as you're talking to them. If you need to look away during your break. What you don't want to do is be talking and you're looking up while you're talking to them. It seems like you're getting the information from somewhere out of the sky. Also, when you're talking, you don't want to be looking down because it comes across as you're not confident what you're saying. So maintaining eye contact can be very difficult. So if there's any levels of discomfort for you or for the other person, when you look away, you do it during your break and you come right back to the eye contact during the conversation. Now, whether you agree with his politics or not, one of the best examples I've ever seen of this is Bill Clinton. Look how long he's maintaining eye contact when he answers a question from his constituent. Now again, whether you agree or disagree with his politics, he was a master at maintaining eye contact when he was engaged in conversation. Which brings me to habit number 3 that I see people of high value implement, and it's they don't interrupt people. When they're in conversation and someone else starts their train of thought, they don't interrupt them. They allow them to speak and they allow them to finish what they're trying to say. You talking louder and talking over them as you interject, does that make you right? And that does not make you more powerful. On the contrary, the power comes in listening, staying quiet so you can gather the information and have an articulated response to what they're saying. Now, when you start your thought, you're going to start with, "To your point." Doing this lets the other person know that you've heard what they said, and now you're going to respond to their point. Now, the next thing, what you don't want to let happen is let people interrupt you. And there's a very easy, polite way to do this. While you've said, "To your point," and you start your conversation, if they begin to interject and interrupt you, gently put your hand forward and continue talking, slightly raising the octave of your voice. If it continues, stop and tell them, "Let me finish my thought, to your point." Now, another person that you may or may not agree with is Joe Rogan, but he is the master at not letting people interrupt him. And he doesn't do it forcefully. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't start cussing. He just continues speaking. If the person is doing it over and over, he will stop the conversation and tell them. Talking over each other is not going to allow us to get our point across. Doing this establishes that you're someone to be respected as much as you're trying to respect them so you can hear their thought, but they're going to be darn sure that they're going to hear yours. You'll gain a lot of trust and respect if you do this. Now, moving on to a habit of high value that I see these people do beyond just their words is that they dress for the occasion. When you receive an invite, follow the dress code that is on the invite. If they tell you black tie, they're expecting you to be in a tuxedo and a bow tie. If they tell you black tie optional, they're giving you the option to either be in a tuxedo or in a nice suit with shirt and tie. If they tell you formal, then I would go with the suit. If they tell you semi-formal, then I would go with odd trousers or sport coat or something like I have on today. If they tell you casual, don't assume that means your cargo pants and flip-flops. I would go with a nice pair of jeans, some loafers, a polo, or maybe some chinos. Now, if on the invitation they don't let you know what the dress code is, there's nothing wrong with reaching out and saying, "Hey, thank you for the invite," when you RSVP, and say that you have a dress code in mind. Now again, if they tell you, "Oh, come casual," Do not just show up in shorts and flip-flops. Go with the same dress code as you would for a business casual or smart casual look. Jeans and a polo with loafers, chinos and a button-up with loafers. You want to make a good impression and extend some courtesy to your host. Tom Ford has a great quote that says, "Dressing well is a form of good manners." I promise you'll leave a good impression. Now moving on to number 5, another habit that I see people of high value implement is that they arrive on time. Notice that I didn't say late. Now, it should be a given that you shouldn't arrive late. It's a disrespect and an inconsideration to your host. But also, arriving early can be an inconsideration, especially if you're attending a dinner party. Many times, the host is rushing to get things done before you guys arrive. They might be in a robe, they might be setting up the table, they might still be getting ready. And when you ring that doorbell and they're not ready, it causes them to be a little bit flustered and it sets the tone for the evening. So if you arrive at 5:30 and the dinner invitation is for 6, sit in your car for 30 minutes before you ring that doorbell. Now, sticking to this point, when you arrive, never arrive empty-handed. Your best bet is to show up with a bottle of wine. If it's a couple, you can show up with a bottle of wine or some flowers. If it's a female, you can show up with a bouquet of flowers. If it's one of your buddies and you're going to a Super Bowl party, don't show up empty-handed. Arrive with his favorite beer in a 12-pack. That way everybody can drink the beer that you brought. Don't be that guy that brings a 6-pack for himself. Now, number 6, when you're at the party and you've brought a date, always pull her chair out when you guys are going to sit down. When she sits down, tuck the chair in. When she's going to stand, you stand with her, you tuck her chair out, and let her go wherever she's going to go, whether it's the bathroom, to the bar, talk to a friend, whatever it is. When she comes back, you do this all over again. You stand, pull her chair out, you let her sit down, and you tuck her back in. Not only is this a very considerate gesture to do for your guests, it's a forgotten chivalry. And I promise you that the people around the table are noticing how you're treating her. Now, if you're at a dinner function with maybe a boss and you're hoping for a promotion, or a businessman that you're hoping to close a deal, they're going to take notice of how you're treating that person and assume that that's a consideration that you apply to every aspect of your life. And you might give yourself a chance to get the promotion or close that deal. Now, number 7, I purposely left for last. People of high value that are polite and considerate never dispute with their partner in public. Now, that can be a wide range. Obviously, you never want to have a blown out fight with your partner in front of people. Not only is it damaging to your relationship, it is very uncomfortable for the people around. Now, this can also include something as small as a little dispute. Maybe she's telling a story at the table and recounting an event that happened, but she's pulling different events into one, not actually recounting how it took place. There's no reason for you to stop, interrupt her, and correct her in front of people. Just let her tell the story. No harm, no foul. Nothing's going to happen. When you get into the car, you remind her, you give her some facts of what happened, then you guys remember the story together, you laugh about it. The next time you tell the story, you tell the story together. But what you've done is you've saved her some grace. You didn't embarrass her in front of people. And a surefire way to ruin the rest of your evening is embarrass your partner in front of people. If you're trying to finish your evening with a nice nightcap, you just ruined that. You want your evening to end as nice as it started, but not disputing in front of people. All right, guys, I hope this helps. Implement these 7 habits in your life, and I assure you that in your next event, you're going to be someone who's remembered and respected. And as always, guys, thanks again, and see you in the next one.